back to another episode of the Tile Money Podcast. My name is Luke Miller, your host, and this podcast is strengthening the tile industry. We're doing this with our business discussions designed for contractors by contractors. This education is assisting tile contractors around the world to build sustainable, profitable businesses. This results in a stronger industry from the installer up. Today, we've got another great discussion lined up for you. I have a couple people in the audience or in the studio here with me. We have John DeYoung and Don Weary, and they're both from ShagTools.com, today's bonus sponsor. And John has been in the building materials distribution industry for 20 years now. He is the CEO of Crown Products and ShagTools.com, Crown's e-commerce platform. Don is the Chief Marketing Officer who is working with ShagTools.com. So before we get into it, I do want to thank our regular sponsors of the show, the NTCA, the National Tile Contractors Association. This can be your most valuable resource as a tile contractor. This is the oldest and the largest associations for tile contractors. They can answer any question you might have, whether you're out there in the field looking for a solution to a complicated problem you ran into, or you're looking for an introduction to an expert in a specific field of tile. Whatever the case might be, you can find the answers within the NTCA. They care about you. The members I've met are some of the most profitable and professional tile contractors I know. Join for the community. You can talk to Jim Olson on Facebook to learn more about what the NTCA can do for your business. Laticrete International, another sponsor of ours. They're one of the leading innovators in the tile installation materials world. They are literally credited with inventing thin set and winning the World Trade Center contract for providing a lightweight solution to build the world's tallest buildings at the time. A family-run, privately held company with family values that you can feel, whether you're talking to your reps in the field or all the way up to the family members still working in the business. You can catch David Rothberg at most industry events. Laticrete provides everything you need to install tile, from waterproofing to the grout and silicone, and is a one-stop manufacturing company. GoBoard is an innovative tile backer board manufactured by John's Manville. Discover the possibilities with this easy-to-cut and handle waterproof product. It's lightweight yet very durable. Carry more boards in one trip. You can seal the joints and fastener penetrations using GoBoard Pro Sealant to achieve ANSI A118.1 compliant installations. GoBoard Pro Sealant is now available in 20-ounce sausage packs. Ask your distributor to bring them in. Prep is everything. So learn more at jm.com/GoBoard. And happytileguy.com is where tile contractors are getting professional websites built fully search engine optimized, ready for lead generation for your, and that is your online hub for your business. And today's bonus sponsor is ShagTools.com. And if you go to ShagTools.com and you can use the discount code Tile Money to receive a nice discount on your first order. They have all the tools you need as a tile contractor or flooring contractor. They have dry goods as well. So let me bring John and Don into the room. All right. How are you guys today?
Good. Luke, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what we're going to do here is switch the camera around. I had my first questions are for John. And that's why I moved you around a little bit. So just so as I don't get confused.
Yeah.
But we want introductions in case I left anything off. So John, can you give us the 30,000 foot overview of your time in the tool or flooring industry?
Yeah. Thanks, Luke. I've been in the building materials distribution business since 2001, everywhere from exterior building supplies to interior building supplies. Currently, I'm the CEO of Crown Products, specialty distributor of hard surfaces and flooring sundries, carpet pad tools, to the residential and commercial flooring and tile contractors. Crown is made up of some traditional brick and mortar distribution businesses like Walcrow, Cartwright Distributing, and Tri-State Wholesale Flooring. But lately we started a brand new endeavor with ShagTools.com. Obviously with COVID, people are purchasing materials and products, much differently than they were in the past, and it was really important for us to connect to customers and people in your audience that are experts at what they do, but don't necessarily need to go into a brick and mortar store. So we didn't want to miss that opportunity to reach them and to be helpful in their business.
Yeah, absolutely. And the same question to you, Don. How did you get into marketing the profession, and what does that look like today?
Yeah, so my background is I've been doing marketing for about 20 years in a lot of different industries, and well, more than 20 years actually. Let's not admit that. Some in the building materials industry, even building finances, a little bit, as well as some other industries. And I joined ShagTools about a few months ago, really to try to make sure we get the word out about this new platform.
Okay, great. Well, this is a dynamic duo we have today. Marketing is always a hot topic and for my audience, and we always like to know, to get to know, who is selling the tools, or who is, has their hands in that process, and kind of what that looks like and how that relates to the tile contractor in the field. And John, I always really appreciate talking to someone who's in the industry, but, not my typical audience, not a contractor out there in the field. And being the CEO of Crown Products and having ran that successful business, or, for those amount of years, I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts on the small business owners that you've worked with over the years. Let's discuss some varying ways that they could improve and grow their business. What advice would you give someone who is just starting out or younger in their tile installation business?
There's a number of things that I would tell someone, but two things come to mind that are top of mind. And that would be, my first tip, or the first thing that I would say is that, you need to be focused on what it is you do best and to be passionate about it. This may sound like overly simplistic advice, but with a new business, it's easy to get excited and to focus on too many things. As I was younger and growing up in the industry, there's a lot of exciting things, particularly when you're passionate about what you're doing. But the downside is that, if you spread yourself too thin, or if you focus on too many things, or focusing on areas that might be outside of your expertise, you're increasing your risk of missed opportunities or not doing your best work. And that hurts your potential for customer referrals. I mentioned passion. It's important to be passionate about, the business that you're starting. Makes sense. Obviously, a lot of people who are starting a business, they love what it is they're doing, but you're starting it because you believe there's something missing in the market that you can uniquely solve. Starting a new business is not easy, and passion will give you, it'll give your business purpose and drive, and in conjunction with focus, will enable you to clearly communicate to your customers and win more jobs. And then finally, my second tip, and maybe the most important one, is to find yourself a great mentor. That goes for whether you're working, in a big corporation, or particularly if you're starting a new business. That, studies have shown that 70% of small businesses that have an experienced business mentor, survive their first years in business, versus 35% who, don't have good mentorship. If you're not sure where to find one, certainly you can look at your local SBA or trade associations, or even established competitors, which may sound strange, but there are some competitors that are either in different markets or slightly different lines of businesses that like to bring people along, and they want to see people succeed, just like you are helping your audience do. And so I would say that those are the things that would be top of mind for me, if good advice I would want to get if I was just.
Yeah. No, thank you. That's a lot of gold in a few minutes there. Rewind that, audience, and listen to that again. Let's break it down a little bit. Passion, and you're right. It sounds simplistic, right? But oftentimes the answers to the struggles that we're going through as business owners or operators are the simplistic things that get overlooked because, that's too easy. Let's go over here. Let's distract ourselves. And then, speaking of that distraction, I really like that point you brought out, because in the group Tile Money, someone said, I have a chance to go to another state and do one really big job. It's nothing that I normally do. It's way outside of my scope of normal operations. Should I do it? And so what would you tell somebody like that?
I don't know. Hail Marys are dangerous. It's the first thing that came to mind as you were talking. I mean, sometimes you can score, Doug Flutie scored that touchdown for all your old timers out there, but they don't happen often, right? And I say cliches are cliches for a reason. Things that are simple are commonly stated over and over again, and stick to your strengths, and make sure that you're not getting outside of your comfort zone, or spreading yourself too thin, or stressing yourself too much, because you don't tend to do your best work. If you need everything to go perfectly, you probably shouldn't do it.
Right. What would you say? We were speaking of mentorship. A lot, and I'm glad you brought up SBA. SBA, for those that are cash strapped, which most young new businesses are, is a free program. And SBA.com, or it's maybe .org or something, but Small Business Association. And you can find a mentor. And I actually have one here in my hometown, because why not? It's just somebody to bend their ear and talk to, and they're happy to do it because they're usually either working part-time or maybe semi-retired or fully retired. And the key thing about mentors that I learned some years ago is don't be afraid to ask, right? Because these, a lot of people, they get to a point in their life where, even in the industry, like you mentioned, they've gotten their business to the point where now their schedule is a lot less than when they were working really hard in the business. And then they realize, it really feels good to help someone. I mean, if you help people on a regular basis, it feels good. I don't care if you're walking their groceries out to the car, or, something simple, it feels good. So that adrenaline gets these mentors going. And, so don't be afraid to ask, and then be appreciative of that. Are you somebody who pays for mentors on a continual basis, or?
No, I don't pay for it. To your point, Luke, there's a lot of people out there that, what I find about business is that so much of it is transferable. It doesn't matter if you're in a building materials industry, or if you're in, I don't know, medical devices or anything else. Some of the best business concepts tend to be, sort of ubiquitous across the spectrum of businesses. And so, when I was a young man, I'm almost 52 years old. When I was a young man, so many people were competitive, and as a young man, I felt that I needed to compete. But as I've gotten older, I realized, to what you said, people really want to help. I've learned a lot of things in life, and I'd love to share those things. Some of the best feel-good moments for me is when I'm talking to a younger, employee in my company, or even someone outside of my company, and letting them know, maybe the gems, or, as you said, the gold that I've picked up, over the years. And so I like to share those things. And I think there's a lot of humans out there that like to do that, as, good business people. And so you certainly can find people to pay. I would suggest, you mentioned a lot of people, small businesses, they don't have a lot of money, or they don't have a lot of resources. And certainly they need to keep their powder dry for materials and marketing and all those kinds of things. There are plenty of people in your town, or maybe even in your neighborhood, that would be willing to give you all kinds of help and advice, whether they're in the industry or not.
It's an interesting thing, because I used to think, where am I going to find my mentor? And I was always looking for that physical mentor. Well, then, years go by, and you realize I have a dozen mentors. I have 24. I mean, it's everybody I'm talking to on social media, in my local, church, or wherever you find yourself, and you find people that you are attracted to, that you want to imitate, and that you really respect in life. A lot of mentorship is also life, and not just business. So that these people are, become your mentors.
Agreed.
So it's a great points there, John. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Don, John brought out a good point about, the purpose, having that purpose. And I imagine, as a marketer, you're going to want to expand on this. What advice would you give a new business owner regarding specifically marketing in 2021, and then, moving forward in these modern times?
Yeah, well, you said it perfectly. And, I'm marketing, so we like the rule of three. So we always like 3 points. So I'll give you 3.
Okay.
But the first thing is always know your brand. Understand what it is you bring. And too often people focus so much of their message and their brand and who they are on the job, but that's kind of table stakes in most places. So you can go back to your purpose, things like that. I think about a painting contractor that I had hired, and the whole reason we really hired him wasn't just his quality, and it was good, but because he respected the house and cleaned up after himself every night, right? That's an important little piece. It's about the whole experience he provided.
Right.
So, and if you don't know what your brand is, someone else is happy to tell you. Ask your customers. They'll tell you why they hired you. They can give you a real great hit on your brand.
Solid point.
Yeah, exactly. The second thing is know where your business comes from. I think is so critical. So many people do what I'll call random acts of marketing, and then they don't know what's actually working. John knows that that's a big thing for me. And so again, I'll go with that same thing I said before. How do you do that? Ask your customers. You at some point are in their house, giving them an estimate. Ask the prospect where they heard of you and record it and keep track of it. So. Last thing I'd say, and it kind of goes with that last thing, is it actually kind of goes with both, is referrals are such a great business source. So that could be your current customers that loved you. It could be referral partners, people who work in the industry. It could be a realtor who knows that somebody's going to want to retile the bathroom they just got and inherited. And if you know what your purpose is and what your brand is and what you stand for, make sure your referral partners know that so that they can say to somebody, hey, you should go to Luke because he XYZ. So that'd be my big thing is brand, sort of sources of business, and have a referral network, really cultivate it.
Nice. I like that. I like that a lot. And I'll throw a softball out there to the audience. And feel free to use it because I think it's a good one. And I think it applies to a lot of my audience. Tile contractors are facing an issue, and they always have been, but specifically in these boom years, right? Boom or bust. So many other, handymen or contractors, or, they were waiters and now they're contractors, right? In the last 18 months are going out there and doing subpar work. And it's really frustrating for everybody, especially the clients, the consumers out there. So perhaps your brand can be about education, and you can easily turn a website into an educational website. Why do we install tile the way we do? Why do we follow, the TCNA guidelines? Why do failures happen? I mean, there is just endless content, and most of it is already out there written for you. You just have to put it in your own words, and it could be a video, or it can be, YouTube or social media. Do you think this is is this on point with what?
Absolutely. Especially because it takes you from being a commodity installer that lots of folks can do to offering value for your customers and really making them understand why they're paying what they're paying rather than and why they're getting something better. So education is one of my favorite tools.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's good. That's a softball. And then, for everybody out there, I mean, you might have a specific cause in mind. I mean, I have a lot of Facebook friends, and it's interesting and really heartwarming to see the different passions that exist within the tile industry. I mean, they're just as unique as people. Some people are really passionate about helping, ADA, people who need that wheelchair accessible shower. And that's really their passion. They really build it. I mean, I know one person in Colorado who's really building, he's building a nonprofit to, supply these showers for low cost or free of cost to the end user who's really in need. Others, it might be another cause that they really get behind. And this is the kind of brand thing that you want to be thinking about, friends, is, whatever really gets you passionate that you can speak on freely and openly without people prompting you. These are really good things, like the Tile Money brand is all about the business of tile. People ask me all the time, well, why don't you talk about this? Or why don't you talk about this? You have an audience. Okay. And I say, because this is my brand and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And all these things I've learned over the years from witnessing both good, good examples as well as poor examples. So my next question to you, John, is what lesson can you share from maybe some poor business, decisions that you've witnessed over the years, or maybe something personal? And then on the flip side, something that you've seen that is just blowing you away and you're really enthused about in somebody's business or innovation.
Yeah. So again, maybe some of this seems very common, but I would tell you that I think the biggest mistake, and this goes for whether you're running your own business or whether you're running a branch at a distribution business, is that the most common mistake is, whether you're a large or a small business, is not knowing your cost of doing business, which makes turning a profit very difficult or impossible if you're not, if you're throwing darts with your blindfolds on, you got to know your costs. And so make sure that you set up your company with the ability to fully understand all of your business expenses. If you understand your expenses, you can create a break-even analysis, allowing you to figure out how much revenue is necessary to cover your overhead before you turn a profit. You can then, if you know that number, you can then, use this as a roadmap for exactly how many customers or jobs that you need to turn a profit. But, one thing, so understanding cost is important, but then also you need to really understand your time. Remember, starting out, you might be the only employee. And so you're not just the tile installer, you're also the CEO of your own company. So you might be spending a third of your time, doing business development or business management. And so you need to understand that 2/3 of your time, is all that you have to actually, to do the work. So, you need your hourly rate to be about 50% higher than if you were just an employee in order to get the same take-home pay. So, it's important, that you understand your costs and that you understand the value of your time, and that, you are, as a sole employee, you're not the only, you're not just installing tile. So you need to keep that in mind.
That's such great advice. It's something that everybody is susceptible to. I mean, this has been, I transitioned just in the last 3 years from tile contractor, installer, running crews to podcaster. And I've really had to transition my brain as, even as a contractor, I was starting to make this transition. Hey, work doesn't equal, hands-on installing always. I mean, yes, that's hard work. And as a contractor, we're used to really, sweating and physical labor. And then we're doing as we grow our business, we're doing the office part, and we're forgetting we should be getting paid for that. Right.
Yeah, Luke, and just most of the time when we get most of our orders on ShagTools.com is at night or on the weekends. So, a lot of people are replenishing and ordering materials for their next job, not during the day. And so, it goes back to what I said earlier about passion. You've got to have a lot of passion for what you're doing, because if you're a new business owner, and God bless you, it takes a lot of courage, but have passion, because you're going to need that time to really deal with all the different things you have to run a business.
Yeah.
And you asked one other question, though. I want to make sure I don't forget it. Is things that I'm seeing that get me excited about business, or things on the flip side that are positive, is how customers and companies are interacting with one another right now, and marketing to each other on social media. So Don hit on it a little bit, and you did as well, that so many of our customers, as well as our contractors' customers, are conducting research or getting inspired online. I mean, my wife, she might be Pinterest's favorite, client. I'm not sure. She's on there all the time. But whether it's Pinterest or even tool manufacturers' websites, our customers or our customers' customers have never been more informed. And it's important to know where your target customers are spending their time for inspiration and knowledge. You don't have to be everywhere out of the gate, but pick a few places where your customers are researching, and work to engage them there. And even better, to your point, I think you had made the point, if you can create content for your target audience to review. I mean, imagine putting your latest project onto Pinterest with videos or visuals with an authentic discussion with passion. It's gold. I love your comment earlier. It's just gold for businesses. And what I see, the best contractors that we deal with are the ones that are engaging their customers, where they're doing their inspiration or their education.
Nice. I like it. Well, thank you for those answers. Same question to you, John. What are you seeing out there that you kind of makes you cringe, and then what do you get excited about?
Well, and I think it all, both the good and the bad, things that haven't gone well and things that have, stem from the ability to understand and even anticipate customer needs. I think that's the critical. So I'll give you kind of an example of each. So I worked with a company that was going to launch a product, and they thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And the customers, we went out and did market research, and they said, no, told us exactly why not to do it. They did it anyway because that was on their goals. And you can guess it failed, right? So here they not listened to what a customer said. On the flip side, if you can listen to your customers and even go a step further and really think like them and anticipate what they need, that'll set you apart. I mean, we don't go anywhere without our iPhones anymore, right? If you'd asked me that 10 years ago, I'd have never told you I need something to be able to connect to John DeYoung the minute I need to talk to him. But somehow I do need that now.
Right.
So if you kind of think of that, how that would apply to contract installations, I kind of think in terms of the way to anticipate someone's needs is to realize what they're really buying. And so customers are not buying tile installations, right? They're buying a vision for their space, whether that's their house, their office, whatever. They're buying a way they're going to live, a way they're going to work, etc. And if you can kind of be thinking in that terms, that'll get you more emotionally connected, but it'll also get you thinking about what more do they need? What's that experience they're really looking for? It's not an installation. So that should help you anticipate.
Okay. So put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah. And don't just listen to what they say. Think about what they're not saying.
Read between the lines. Good, good. That's good advice. Solid advice. And I'm glad, I appreciate you giving us a small example there. Do you, I mean, is it as simple as just having conversations with your favorite clients and saying, what do you want and what did you enjoy and why would you hire me again or why wouldn't you? Is it really as simple as that?
Yeah, that, and also I'd add in, how do you plan on using, sorry, I should have turned that off. How do you plan on using space? What were you thinking about when you contracted me, or even whatever your next project is? Why is my favorite question. So not just what are you thinking and why did you use me, but why was it that you even wanted to do this project? And that just gets you right in that mindset, because if you really understand the motivation, that gives you such a good grounding for it.
Got it. Nice.
Luke,
nice.
One thing I would add there, Luke, is at least, in my career, in my experience, some of the best advice I've ever gotten is when maybe I didn't do the best job or when I didn't have the best customer feedback. And you really get some great feedback from customers where maybe there was an opportunity for improvement, and they'll make it very plain to you what it is you could have done better. And some of the best lessons I've learned in life are the ones that have come from maybe a bad experience that a customer's had with us, and I've been able to make it right. I've never had to repeat those mistakes because I learned it and heard it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, John, if I can actually add one more that you made me think about. Again, why is a great question. The other thing is think in terms of pains and gains. So what is the real pain that somebody's having that's getting them to actually invite you? I'll use a house for an example, invite you into their home, into their space to do something. And that's a disruption, right? So there must be some pain that's more painful than the disruption of having people in their house working on it. So if you can get to what's their real pain, I will give an example. I have a bathroom I hate downstairs. I just moved into a new house. Every time I look at it, I cringe. It hasn't been enough pain for me to call somebody to fix that yet, but
sounds like it's getting close.
Where I have guests coming over, I'm so embarrassed. Somebody fix this for me now.
Yeah. That's interesting. So the pain builds up over time. Huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about tools here. being that you're on, that side of the industry, what tools and supplies are contractors buying right now? And why do you think that is, John?
Well, the first one I'm going to mention is an oldie but goodie. Hopefully most of your customers or your followers don't roll their eyes, but it's an oldie but goodie. But boy, are they extremely popular, and that's ProKnee. The ProKnee line of knee pads. As many in your audience would know, these are premium knee pads that are customizable to the wearer's body and distribute weight throughout the lower leg rather than just the knee. Makes it easier and more comfortable to spend long hours, on your knees getting the job done. But the minute we started our website up, and they've just been great people over at ProKnees. Hotcakes isn't a good enough word for them. They just continue to fly off the shelf. And I think the ProKnees a few years ago really kind of loosened up the reins a bit on how they distributed. And so, I think a lot of folks are buying those things online because they know what their size is and they know what they need. And so folks are just buying those. And there's probably plenty of very good knee pads out there, but Luke, if I had to tell you the thing that we're selling the most of, it is ProKnees. But the other thing I'd like to bring up, particularly for your customer base, is a product line. It's an entire product line. It would be Ruby. Our tile contractors absolutely love their products, from their sponges and spacers and trowels all the way up to their laser and level tile saws. They're innovating. They've got the little things, they've got the big things, and everything in between. And next Monday, they're launching their new Ruby Cyclone level system. There's a lot of buzz out there. I don't know that it's particularly, astonishing or, earth shattering, but they build a really good product, and we've gotten some samples in our brick and mortar stores, and the customers really love them. And so they're going to be available next Monday is when they're out, on the 4th. And contractors are excited to get them. So I would say, ProKnees and Ruby are just two of the biggest products or product lines that we're moving the fastest right now.
Interesting. Is there anything that's not moving that you think maybe should be, or you're kind of like, man, I thought this was going to be a hot item?
Yeah, I would say some of the big mixers, for self-leveling underlayment, and, some of those big mixers, they're expensive, but if you don't mix things well or correctly, you can have failures, or maybe the product doesn't perform the way that it's supposed to. And I would have expected that people would be buying those more online, because it's a tool that has plenty of information about it. I think we have fair prices, and I'm just surprised that folks aren't doing more of those online. I expected those actually would go a lot faster than they do. So I don't know if people feel a little more comfortable buying them, with their hands and their eyeballs, looking at them in person versus over the internet. Though that would be something from a tool perspective where I'm a little surprised.
Okay, fair enough. It might be one of those things. The bigger the purchase, the longer the. Do they go back and look at it again? Probably, something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Our average order size is, less than $400. So, maybe spending, $500, $600, $700 on a, pretty high powered, handheld mixer is maybe something that they want to have local, maybe for service or warranty issues. But so that's a good point.
Do you get feedback from your customers about any concerns they're dealing with in the field? And how do you, if you do, how do you help them manage those issues?
Well, we're new enough that we're not getting a lot of that feedback now. In the moment, or gosh, here's a problem I'm seeing. We're desperate to get that, because we represent some of the best manufacturers and not only tools, but also, powders and caulks and mortars, et cetera. We represent some of the best, manufacturers in the business. And so as contractors have problems, there's no one we can't get a hold of to give, good advice for those problems. So we're going to be doing more of that, interacting and trying to reach customers, taking my own advice, reaching customers where they are. So we're getting more of that feedback, Luke, or we'd like to get more of that feedback, but at the moment we're not getting as much as we'd like. So we want to get there and be more of a resource for the customer base.
It's good to know you're open to it, and hopefully we can send you some of that feedback and get those conversations started. So
that's right.
Hint, audience.
Please.
Well, let's see here. Just a couple follow-up questions for everybody. I always like to talk about, what's exciting, what you see exciting in the industry coming down the pipe here. Do either of you have any input on that?
Yeah, I don't know, Don, if you want to go first. I feel like I've been talking so much. I do have some exciting things. I'm
Okay.
passionate, but why don't you start, Don?
I'll start. So I think the thing that most excites me for the industry is kind of the shift to more of a gig economy and more entrepreneurship. I think that's super exciting. If I look back to many years ago when I was trying to decide what I was going to do with my life and my career, the path was go to a big company, work for it your entire life, etc. And that's a very specific path. And so it's nice that people now there's more respect, more options, more tools that make it possible for somebody to start their own business, to be in the gig economy, to be doing contract work, and to balance that with their life, right? So it's no longer have to be, as John said, it's not 9 to 5, right? Maybe you're doing something at 2 in the afternoon with your family because it makes sense, but then at night you're ordering supplies online. So just that flexibility and the ability to manage work-life balance and do what you really want to do, what you're passionate about, and make a living that way, I think is a super exciting thing.
Nice.
Great time.
Yeah, I have a contractor, Trask Bergerson, who I speak to on a fairly regular basis out of Oregon. And, he's right there on the coast in a surfing community. And he said at least one of his guys, I don't know how many, but at least one of his crew members is a surfer. So if the surf's up and the job allows it, because I think most of his employees are on salary and he doesn't dictate their hours. They all start basically at the same time, but they're not really heavy into dictating their hours. Certain jobs, they must, but certain jobs it's more free. So this surfer will oftentimes work from like 6 to 10 or 11 and go hit the surf sesh, depending on the break, and then go back from like 3 to 6 or whatever, because he's a young guy and he can just put his hours in when he wants. And I think that's really cool. And it really builds that culture, and in the trades, oftentimes if the home is empty or whatever, you can do that, and it's cool. So thank you.
And just the ability to pick what's most important to you. Is it important to have a work-life balance? Is it important to be a billionaire by the time you're 30? Whatever it is, you can put your goals toward that and then say, what do I need to do from a work balance standpoint?
Yeah, I like it. What are you excited about, John?
Well, so leading a company, I spent a lot of my time thinking about, the business environment, right? And we've had, upturns and downturns. And so what I would say, what I'm most excited about, and certainly economies can change, but what I'm most excited about is I think that our industry has some really strong industry tailwinds in the residential remodeling and new housing markets. I think it's setting the table for, long-term growth and opportunities for contractors. On the remodeling front, what we are seeing now is that COVID has increased residential demand as more people are working from home, driving higher demand for remodeling projects. We've never been busier. Generational trends are driving significant remodeling demand. As millennials are now in their prime years and home purchasing, prime years for home purchasing, and older couples, more than not, are sort of aging in place, if that makes sense. I know my parents, in the last 5 or 6 years have said, let's just stay here. I like the house, and I'll just replace that floor. I'll just redo that bathroom or put a backsplash up. So a lot of folks are aging in place. And then on the new construction front, look, our population is growing in this country, and current housing inventory is very low versus the historical averages. So, when compared to the market demand for housing, this will drive the need for more new construction. So whether you're a remodeling contractor or someone who's doing, sub work for new construction, I think the next 5 to 10 years could be just monstrous for us. And, I read an article not so long ago that they were saying, millennials really just kind of want to rent. They don't really want to own. And look, I think particularly in our industry, it doesn't really matter if you're renting or owning. The multifamily is a huge industry for us, where they're turning over units, et cetera. So I'd say that not just residential, but multifamily residential is just as strong. So I think the next 5 years are going to be just full of opportunity for people starting their businesses or the opportunity to grow the revenue that you have.
Yeah. I like it. I'm positive as well on the future for, highly strong in the remodel industry is probably a good solid bet for anybody wondering where they should hedge their
I agree.
bets. I like that aging in place. And if you're out there, audience, tile friends, and you're thinking, how do I differentiate myself? How do I, do I want to niche down or add a service? This ADA compliant aging in place type of stuff is a really good way to do that. And if you Google it and start reading about, you can get certified, possibly even licensed. I don't know if it's a certification or a license to kind of help you. And they'll, you can take a week-long class and they will, get on that list of their contractors that they refer, and I'll try to find the link and put it in the show notes here because it's kind of a last minute thought here, but I like that a lot. Well, listen, John and Don, I really appreciate both of you being on the podcast. Is there one last thing that you would like to express to the tile friends, the audience listening? We'll start with Don. Is there one last thought for everybody?
Yeah, so I think it kind of goes with what you were saying before about what else are we excited about. I talked about what I'm excited about in the industry, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention what I'm excited about in marketing. And John kind of mentioned it before. It's just the possibilities that marketing technology is bringing. So that is everything from automation. You all get it. Those emails that come to you as soon as you abandon a cart or you don't buy something, you get that email back, or you bought something and it says thank you, all the way to, if you're scrolling through Facebook and suddenly you wanted you wanted a sweater and suddenly you're seeing ads for sweaters. Marketing technology has gotten so precise now that it really knows a lot about you and therefore a lot about your customers. So be open to things like social media marketing, marketing automation, email marketing, and talk to a marketing person about it if you need to. But there's so much possibility to really target the right person.
I like that. Thank you a lot. And at happytileguy.com, we can do email automation. We can do, what was the other thing you mentioned?
Social media marketing.
We're not doing social media marketing yet, but we're doing email. And CRM, email automation. Absolutely. So if you have all your best clients, we can plug them in there and email them. And somebody goes on your website, fills out a form, and we can drip email them, things of that nature. So we're always improving and adding to it. John, same question to you. Any last thoughts?
Yep, I feel like I'm a business coach here, so I'm sorry to be a little bit
no, we love
happy or business related. But what I'd say, one thing to express to the audience regarding their business is, we talked about focus and passion and knowing your costs. But the other thing I would say is be sure that you have a vision for your business and set specific goals. Most small business associations or business leaders recommend having long-term goals like 5 years. And I know that long-term goals can be scary or seem too far away or too academic, but long-term goals should be sort of the North Star for your business. And you can make that long-term goal more manageable by breaking it into annual goals and then quarterly goals and then monthly goals. And from there, you can kind of make that your week-to-week business operations, keeping you focused and on the right track. And so I think it's important to start with passion. It's important to start, with focus and knowing your costs. But you also have to kind of know where you want to go, right? What does Yogi Berra say? If you don't know where you're going, you might end up somewhere else. And so I think it's important to know where you're going and setting those goals and being a bit academic about it. Sticking to your plan is really important.
Nice. I like it. The long-term goals are the North Star of your business. I've never heard that before. I'm going to steal that. Thank you, John.
You can have it.
Right on. Well, listen, you guys, you've been a pleasure to talk to, and I know this podcast is going to help a lot of people. So thank you very much.
Great. Luke, thanks for having us.
You're welcome. And thank you for your support of Tile Money.
You got it. Bye, guys.
All right, tile friends. Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode as much as I did. John and Don delivered a lot of value. So go back and listen to it again if you need to. Feel free to reach out to John or via ShagTools.com and let them know your thoughts on the episode. Don and John are both on Facebook as well. So until next time, tile friends, stay positive out there. And as always, stay profitable.